so far? Well, let me tell you something. If you're not already having a good time, this is going to be a lot of fun. I have the great honor of moderating this conversation. My name is Stephen Olekara. I'm the founder and president of the Millennial Action Project. We're a nonpartisan group working with the next generation of elected officials to bridge the political divisions in our country, make our democracy stronger. So I would like to introduce tonight's panelists. First, political strategist James Carville. Give him a round of applause. And the host of Hannity on Fox News, Sean Hannity.
You can sit here to the left, I guess. Right. You sit to the right of me, Sean. That's kind of...
I think you should be in the middle, right?
Sure, okay.
All right, there you go.
Whatever.
How y'all doing? You having fun? Let's hear it. Trump 2020, right?
So,
all right, let's keep America great.
All right. This, honestly, guys, this is my favorite part of Politicon. We get two opposing viewpoints. You might have some unexpected areas of common ground. You never know. But we're going to make it fun and hope you leave this learning something new. So let's start with the very unifying topic of impeachment, right? Let's start there. So, let me frame it this way, and maybe it hasn't been framed this way exactly so far. I was recently reading George Washington's farewell address, and he's talking about in these moments of extreme division and partisanship, the country becomes susceptible to foreign corruption and influence. And the recent Ukraine story seems to be the thing that really set off Speaker Pelosi to start the impeachment inquiry. So let me start with you, Sean. Let me get your take on the Ukraine story. Do you think the president was wrong or right to solicit their help, and your take on their decision to pursue impeachment?
Well, I don't even agree with the premise of your question. I have here the statement, do me a favor. We spent 3 years in this country, right, talking about Russia, Trump, collusion. What we do know, Politico, January 11, 2017, they wrote an article about how Ukraine colluded on behalf of Hillary Clinton in the 2016 elections. All the president says, can you get to the bottom of this? Because we can't have foreign interference in our elections. Whether it be, the only Russian interference was Hillary Clinton's bought and paid for dirty dossier full of Russian lies in 2016. Look, I'm actually of two minds. I want James Carville, who I love. By the way, he is a wonderful human being. I love Mary as well. They've got great kids. If the Democrats do this, I predict it'll be the greatest campaign contribution to Donald J. Trump's reelection. It is overreach. The president has a sworn constitutional oath to faithfully execute the laws of this land. And Ukraine did interfere. I'm quoting Politico, January 11, 2017. You look at the article and how they had an impact on that last election. So for the president to say, after the country supposedly cared about election interference, oh, if you can help us find out if any of the shenanigans went on, that would be good. It would be constitutional, and we have a treaty with Ukraine on criminal matters. The president should be thanked for what he was asking to have happen. There was no quid pro quo. Look, for 3 years, I run on Hannity all the time. Impeachment. It started 2 days after this man was elected. We've had 4 investigations, FBI investigation, House Intel investigation, bipartisan Senate investigation, Mueller investigation, no collusion. That doesn't work. Oh, we'll just say it about Ukraine. Can you name one thing that the Democrats have done to make this country safer, more secure, more prosperous? All they've done for the last 3 years is hate on Donald Trump. I don't think that's a platform to win elections.
Now, let me go to you, James.
Okay.
You were making the point to me earlier that you were right in the mix of now 2 impeachments, the one in the late 90s and now this one. What do you see as the parallels from the late 90s, and what do you think we can learn from that?
I think this is a kind of a historic thing because I was very vocal and very involved in one impeachment, and Sean is very vocal and very involved in another one. Now, what's going to happen is they're going to impeach him. That's just going to happen. There's no, that train has totally left the station. And what as I recall, and I go back, and Joe Lockhart was here earlier, but we actually had a strategy. We started with 71% approval. They start with 41% approval, so they're a little bit in a deeper hole than we start. But our strategy was portray the prosecutor as a prissy, partisan, pompous prosecutor. And of course, he played right into it, and I had more fun slapping Ken Starr around almost anything I've ever done in my life. The second thing we did is we trivialized the charge. You're really going to do this over that? I mean, come on, guys. And the third thing we did is we kept the base intact. The only thing that I see them doing is keeping their base intact. Well, their base alone is not going to win for them. And I think that there was Lindsey Graham, I'm going to quote him in the paper this afternoon. Senator Lindsey L. Graham of South Carolina, who met with Trump at the White House on Thursday for lunch, said the president was defiant. He just keeps saying he did nothing wrong, Graham said in an interview. He said it over and over. And he went on to say, I went against the Clinton people, and they were good. And I told the president, we got to get better. And just howling like being a dog howling at the moon in the mainstream media and the Clintons. And if you control the Justice Department and you control the State Department, if something is wrong, investigate it. You have the entire power of the United States government behind you. And if she was doing all of this, then investigate it. You got FBI agents, you got CIA agents, you got everything in the world. But I mean, don't give me a Politico article from January of 2017. Go do it. You have uphold, enforce the laws of the United States if she was breaking the laws. Of course, we heard ad nauseum, ad infinitum about the stupid emails, which of course now they say, well, there wasn't anything to it. But I'm just saying, has somebody who's seen this before, let me tell you, trouble is coming. They will not lose 3 Democrats on an impeachment vote. And if you look at the way these senators are acting, Sean, you got a big role to play here. You got to bring some strategy to this, because y'all can't put Mick Mulvaney on TV, for God's sakes. I mean, nobody's like, whew, that's not very good. I mean, and then you got, could you imagine in the middle of all this that David Kendall is gallivanting around the Ukraine with 2 goons? That's what the Trump's lawyer was. I mean, y'all got to get a team in place and see all these pro-Trump people here. They want somebody. They want y'all to fight back. They want y'all to get organized. They want to take it to it, not fooling around with Lev and Igor and fraud guaranteed and all that stuff. These guys are ready to fight. You got to give them some leadership.
So, Sean, do you agree with that premise? And do you think the House will impeach Trump? And what do you think?
I think there's a strong likelihood they impeach. The Senate won't convict, and Donald Trump will be reelected.
Now,
and I'll tell you the other thing. I actually had to write it down. And I give credit. James Carville went to war for Bill Clinton, and they were very effective at fighting back. But I'll tell you this, Newt Gingrich allowed the full vote on the House, in the House of Representatives, for a real inquiry. Newt Gingrich also let the full House vote on the scope and the rules and the procedures. Newt Gingrich gave both the ranking member and the chair co-equal subpoena power, also subpoena power as it relates to the minority. We also know that they let the President's counsel have the right to attend every deposition and every hearing. They're not doing that now. They also gave the President's counsel the right to present evidence. They also gave the President's counsel the right to object to the admittance of some evidence. They also gave the President's counsel the right to cross-examine and also recommend some witnesses. If this is their process, that they can't allow hearings for the American people to see, and they think they're going to impeach him behind closed doors, That sounds to me more like the former Soviet Union or Venezuela or Cuba. That is not due process. That makes this whole thing illegitimate, unconstitutional, and the American people, whether you're Democrat or Republican, you should agree that every American, including Donald J. Trump, the President of the United States, has the right to due process. And if they want to do this behind closed doors, the American people will see the fundamental unfairness of this, and they'll also put together his track record over the last 3 years. Are we better off than we were 4 years ago? The answer is overwhelmingly yes. And I will add, we have the best employment in this country since 1969. We have, for the first time in 75 years, we are energy independent in the United States of America. Record low unemployment for African Americans, Hispanic Americans, Asian Americans, women in the workplace, youth unemployment. We have a president that made, hello, nice to meet you. What's your liberal name? We have a president that promised the biggest tax cuts in history. He delivered. We have a president that promised originalist justices. He delivered. We have a president that said he's going to find a way and secure the border. He found the money. He's building the wall. We have a president that said he'd give us better trade deals. Japan, half of China, our European allies, Mexico, and Canada. We have a president that said he was going to beat back the caliphate in Syria, and he decimated them when he removed the insane rules of engagement of Barack Hussein Obama. And we beat back the caliphate. ISIS died in Syria as a result of his peace through strength policies. Right. Now, here's the thing. James Carville and I are never going to agree on these issues. The divide is real. It is profound. America will have the clearest choice it has ever had. We will either continue to be this great democratic republic based on an economic system of capitalism, risk and reward, or Americans are going to choose a level of socialism and a new Green Deal, which we'll talk about, and get rid of oil, gas, combustion engines, cows, and planes. Only a liberal would want to get rid of cows. Really? But here's the thing. We are going to have the biggest choice election. And I think a president that has literally fulfilled almost every campaign promise that he has made and gave us all of these records with the economy and beat back the caliphate, I think that record will carry the day, and I believe he will win more states in 2020 than he did in 2016.
Well, let's talk about the election, and I'll let you respond to that. I'll let you respond to that.
I just can't talk for that long. The first thing is, this is the weakest president we've ever had in American history. No one cares what he says. The North Koreans don't care, the Iranians don't care. I'm sorry, Bin Laden is dead and GM is alive. Thank you. So no one cares what he says. The Iranians don't care. The Russians don't care. The Turks don't care. The North Koreans don't care. The Chinese don't care. For sure, the Democrats don't care. They're going to impeach him. All right? That's going to happen. No one, if you cannot instill any discipline unless you have fear. No one is scared of Donald Trump, except for people that live in hard red things that are afraid to get primary. They couldn't get but 44 senators to sign something that poor Lindsey Graham got together that Mitch McConnell had to edit down for him. All right? Once a president loses, once people don't care what he says, he has got to get some, he has got the weakest polling numbers by far of any president in history. He just reeks weakness. That is the most wussified operation I've ever seen in my life. You know, when you look back, and when they came after us, we came back after them. We picked up seats. We had an approval rating in the 70s. This guy, there's no fear. Nancy Pelosi does whatever she wants. I mean, he's just getting clobbered by I guess I can't say a girl, by a woman. Yeah, a woman. It's just every day making every Democrat so proud. And every day just discipline him like an errant child. That's what I think is happening. And I mean, they can go and have anything they want. They're getting impeached, and they'll have hearings. Don't worry. There'll be plenty of hearings. There'll be plenty of witnesses come before. Believe me. They got more. They have more of these whistleblower people coming online than you can imagine. They got the book coming out by Anonymous.
Oh,
this thing is,
Anonymous.
This thing, you're all.
How about you have the courage to put your name on the book?
Did I say anything? Y'all are all supporting a very weak, compliant man. And we're just going to do it to you. And you know what? Unless you get a lot better, unless you get some talented people, it's going to happen to you. It's going to happen. I promise you. It will happen.
Wait a minute. As good as James Carville was, and I mean this, he is, what I love about James, and we've debated a lot over the years, he's a warrior for his side. He went to war for Bill Clinton. His team went to war for Bill Clinton. They had a war room for Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton, James, got impeached. And the day he got impeached, he had his highest approval rating ever. Now, Bill Clinton lost his law license. Bill Clinton paid Paula Jones $850,000. Now, I will say this. Bill Clinton, when Hillary Care failed, and he said these words, "The era of big government is over. The end of welfare as we know it." The person that James Carville went to war for but still got impeached, he's saying impeachment is so bad, that guy wouldn't even be accepted in this extreme, radical, new Democratic Socialist Party. I've never heard of so many candidates for president that think that we are going to wean ourselves off of the lifeblood of our economy, oil and gas, in 10 years. If we do that, we will destroy every opportunity in this country. If you come up with alternative energy, I suggest you sell it because you're going to be a billionaire very quickly. If we get rid of the combustion engine, if we get rid of airplanes, that's a brilliant idea. If we get rid of cows, but we're going to give every American free child care, free health care, free government healthy food, free education. By the way, how did Obamacare work out? Free retirement. The price tag, ma'am, is $94 trillion. All of those promises are unsustainable. They will never be fulfilled. Barack Obama said, keep your doctor, keep your plan, and save money. 40% of the country only has one health care option. So many millions of Americans lost their doctors and their plans, and on average paid 174% more in higher premiums. Now we're going to have Medicare for all at $36 trillion over 10 years. We only take in $4 trillion a year. Then we're going to have another $94 trillion in the Green New Deal. Maybe socialism is appealing. Everything's free. Eventually you have to pay for it. And if you think what's happening in New York, New Jersey, California, there's mass exodus. By the way, they're coming to Nashville, and they're coming to the Carolinas, and they're going to Florida, and they're going to Texas. You know, if you think that exodus is bad, you give a 70% tax rate to individuals, 90% to corporations, you add a wealth tax on top of it, and then a 40% death tax. I'm going to tell you what everybody, and I never got a job from any poor person, and I started out as a dishwasher when I was 12 years old. I never got a job from a poor person. But those rich people didn't get rich by being stupid. They're not only going to leave California, New York, and New Jersey, they're going to leave the United States, and they're going to take their money with them. So these politicians can promise that they're going to take Bernie Sanders, 97.5% of people's wealth. Nobody will stay here. If you leave California and take a U-Haul to Texas, it's about $2,500. If you take that same U-Haul from Texas to California, it's about $300. Why? Because nobody from Texas wants to go to California, get a 13.5% state income tax rate. Look, James's support of Bill Clinton is admirable. Bill Clinton was far more moderate for the last 6 years. Him and Newt Gingrich, I think, did great things for the country together. We balanced the budget. We haven't done it since. We need to get back to that. But I will tell you, impeachment never hurt Bill Clinton. Impeachment helped Bill Clinton, and he never had higher ratings. My prediction is James is probably right. These radical Democrats and their secret Soviet-style impeachment plan, they'll probably go through. It is. Why can't? What are they afraid of? Let the witnesses talk. And by the way, the person that's running the hearings, he's compromised. He's corrupt. He's a liar and a fact witness in the case. That would be the cowardly Schiff. Let the American people see this circus for what it is, and if they see this, they will find it repulsive because the Democrats are not looking out for safety, they're not looking out for security, they're not helping create jobs and prosperity in this country, and Donald Trump has broken more economic records than every other president in the last 100 years combined. That's something to run on.
So, James, do you think impeachment will be the defining issue in 2020? You famously said it's economy stupid. So what should we be focused on?
It's going to be huge. It's going to happen. And it's going to be a huge story. There's no other way around it. And I can't, like, the Clintons, and I wish Hillary was president. I'd be here defending her. California, there's nobody left in California. I just was in San Francisco and the Silicon Valley and Beverly Hills and Newport Beach. And California's out of rich people. They've all moved. That's why housing in San Francisco is so cheap. You can just go there because no one wants to live there. I mean, it's that the whole thing is so, it's so like, okay, fine. And everything is, in California, there's dog shit on the street. Okay, I don't know what to say. What I'm saying is this. We are heading in, they're going to be, when you talk about the left, the night before the House will vote on impeachment, they're going to be 250,000 people on the mall. Now, I don't know, maybe y'all will put 250,000 people there and we'll have a great democracy festival. But this thing is coming. They have more witnesses coming. There are more people to come forward. There are people like John Bolton is going to come forward. John Kelly, General Kelly said today that the Syrian thing was like the dumbest thing that he'd ever seen in his life. They're all breaking. There's no fear. No one is scared of this president. And until people like Sean start getting these senators and bucking them up and saying, look, if you break here, we're going to primary you. But right now, Mitch McConnell, the president says Mitch McConnell told him something, and Mitch McConnell said, I haven't said that. I've had a conversation with him about that. He doesn't care. His incumbents are so scared. Tom Tillis, Martha McSally, Susan Collins, Cory Gardner, Joni Ernst, you name it. They're in mortal fear. There's not a single Democratic congressman that has any fear whatsoever of this. They are going to do it. And he is too weak to stop it. And he may not stop it in the Senate. This train is leaving the station, and as long as he's sitting there, you can pass this on to him, Sean. As long as he's sitting there howling about everything, it's not going to happen. He's got to get some good lawyers. If you want to fight back, you got to get some David Kendalls over there and get rid of this clown show you got. And you got to get rid of the Mulvaney's in the world. And you know, media, you can get some people in there that can carry their own weight and go forth and make a case. But right now, y'all are getting the crap kicked out of you from everything that I see, and you got to toughen up a little bit.
Speaking of fear, I'm curious, Sean, who do you think Trump least wants to face in 2020?
I think I look at this field of candidates, and I'm like, I'll take on any one of them. James is saying something that, he's probably right, and the country's going to get all jazzed up. What people are missing, if you watch, we've never seen anything like this. I aired the other night on Hannity the Dallas rally of the president. There were 30,000 people outside watching the president's speech inside. Now, Barack Obama got big crowds. nobody in my lifetime has had this phenomenon, which is Donald Trump. And there is this disconnect with the Washington establishment, the New York establishment, the LA, San Francisco establishment. And there really is contempt for, you know, what did Peter Strzok say, that we're smelly Trump Walmart shoppers. Well, I confess I like to shop at Walmart, and I think people that shop at Walmart are pretty smart because you usually get the same thing for a lot less money. And Hillary said irredeemable, deplorable. And Barack Obama once said, those angry, bitter Americans that cling to their God, their Bible, their Second Amendment rights. And I'm like, okay, I believe in God, Jesus Christ as our Lord and Savior. I believe all that. And America, what I think James is missing in his analysis here, those people that wait online, and I've seen them, I've been there, they'll wait, it's like they tailgate for 24 hours to get into a Trump rally. And those people are watching this sneaky, behind-the-scenes, closed-door, never-ending, 3 long years, impeach, 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 and they're sick of it. And all these Democrats are doing is one thing. They are pissing off the American people. And every one of those people, here's how I analyze 2020. Are you better off than you were 4 years ago? In every category, yes. Also, is Donald Trump, I love you liberals in the background, hi. Is Donald Trump going to lose any of the people that voted for him in 2016? I don't think so. Right? All right, now the question is, now that we have the best employment conditions since 1969, now, look, Barack Obama literally gave us 13 million more Americans on food stamps after 8 years. He gave us 8 million more Americans in poverty. He gave us the lowest labor participation rate in the 70s, the lowest home ownership rate in 51 years. He gave us the worst recovery in 40 years. Donald Trump in 2.5 years has created 7 million new jobs. Donald Trump in 2.5 years has gotten 7 million Americans off of food stamps and millions more out of poverty. So if I'm right, we're better off than we were 4 years ago. And if I'm right that Donald Trump supporters in 2016 are not going anywhere, I've got to wonder, those people that are off of food stamps, out of poverty, and the 7 million new jobs, and the record low unemployment for Hispanic Americans, Asian Americans, African Americans, and women in the workplace, does he have a shot because their lives are better at getting them to vote for him? My answer is absolutely. Moody's Analytics had him at 351 electoral votes in their analysis this week. That's where I think Donald Trump is headed. He will be reelected, in my opinion.
I don't know where to start. Obama had 80,000 at his acceptance speech in Bronco Stadium. Okay, Obama's crowd for his inauguration was twice as big as Trump's. You can look it up. There's a picture. I'm not. This is all whatever you want.
Facts.
Fantasizing. All right. Trump got 46.1 in 2016. The Republicans got 44.8 in 2018. It is not like we have not had an intervening election here. All right? It's not like it was the highest turnout since women were granted the right to vote, the biggest popular vote majority in the history of off-year congressional elections. So please, this is going to happen. He is going to be impeached. And Republican senators that are up for re-election are scared to death of this vote. They don't need talking points. They need talent. They need a strategy. They need somebody to come together and pull together and fight back, because they're coming. And the people that are coming are from all over the place, and former people that have been within the government. And, this is just going to happen. And what I believe, and I mean, I know I have some insight as to to what they're doing and what they're going to do, not total. But they better be prepared, because there's so much more coming down the pike. And you just, and my counsel would be, you got to have effective people out there. You need good lawyers, you need good spokespeople, and you need a clearly defined strategy. That is, we had Ken Starr. I don't know, the problem with the whistleblower is no one knows who he is, and it's not a face. You can put Ken Starr's face up there, with his prissy lips, and you can see what you're looking at. You can say, look, this is a trivializing thing. People are way more concerned about what might have happened in Ukraine than anything that Bill Clinton did with Monica Lewinsky. I'm just telling you, just look and see. And you got to get more than your base here. You're scratching the bottom, and I just think, and I know we got a lot of Trump people here. I don't think strategically they're serving your interests very well.
All right, so we're going to have a chance.
Can I just add one thing to that?
Go ahead.
Listen, James is really good at what he does. He is a formidable strategist and a battler, and I admire him for it. You got to remember, Donald Trump, keep underestimating him. He kicked the shit out of the Bush dynasty, and he kicked the shit out of Hillary Clinton. And nobody saw that coming. And James is saying, well, Republicans are nervous. How do you think the 40 House Democrats in Trump-won districts are feeling if Nancy Pelosi and the corrupt, compromised fact witness in the case running Soviet Union-style impeachment hearings? How do you think those 40 Democrats are feeling?
I know.
Hang on. I got a question.
They're going to vote to impeach him. I know these guys. Okay, a lot of them are friends of mine. They don't fear Trump at all. I'm just telling you. That's the point.
James, what crime do you want to impeach him on?
For leveraging his influence for personal political gain, which is, if you read the Federalist Papers or you read anything else, is about the most serious thing that you can do. Plus, they're just getting started.
What's the crime? I didn't hear it. What's the crime?
Again, what they're going to impeach him on is self-dealing while conducting the business of the United States. You may say it's not a crime. He will be impeached.
What for? What is the crime?
Again, if you read,
What's the crime? Tell us. Tell the crowd.
The crime is simply this, that you used U.S. influence to dig up something with a foreign government on your opponent. It's that. If you don't think it's a crime, then go on TV and say it's not a crime. I will go on TV on your show and read you exactly.
I have the transcript. There's no quid pro quo. Right. A president has a duty to faithfully execute the laws. Ukraine interfered in our elections.
He is going to be impeached. Okay?
For what?
And you can, again, I'm not gonna sit here, go back and forth. I just tell you what it is. If you want to defend that, that's fine. The evidence is coming. It's going to be totally overwhelming. But you can sit here, and my point is simply this. I'm making a point. You can scream, you can yell. This is going to happen. And you're just going to be out there screaming at the moon pays as much attention to the dog barking at it as the Democrats pay to Trump. You get, wow, wow, wow. The moon don't know. It don't hear it. It has no fear.
So I want to jump in here. So
well, I will tell you what a crime is, and this is where I love Democrats.
Quick response, then we're going to go to questions.
This is what I love about Democrats, because you remember we had all the I believers, right? Kavanaugh. Now we got credible allegations against the lieutenant governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia about rape and violent sexual assault. Not one I believer. They cared about Russian interference. They didn't give a damn about Hillary Clinton's bought and paid for Russian dossier full of lies that was used in the 2016 election. They don't care that Hillary Clinton, if any of you ever have anything subpoenaed, I'm going to give you advice. Delete the subpoenaed emails, acid wash your hard drive with bleach bit, then bust up your devices with hammers and remove the SIM cards. good luck to you, because unless your name's Clinton, you're going to jail. And then we've got the dirty Russian dossier that was never verified, unverifiable, because the guy that put it together, Christopher Steele, in an interrogatory under oath, under threat of perjury, said, I have no idea if any of it's true. That was used as the bulk of information to spy on a candidate, to spy on a transition, and spy on a president. We also have the outsourcing of illegal spying to our allies to circumvent American law. Here's what I'm going to say to you.
I
have down here the transcript. Right. Donald Trump's phone call with the president of Ukraine. The only corruption I see in Ukraine is a former vice president, now presidential candidate by the name of Joe Biden, bragging how he used $1 billion taxpayer dollars and said, you're not getting the money unless you fire this. Why would a vice president want a Ukrainian prosecutor fired? In 6 hours, son of a bitch, they fired him. Well, why did they fire him? We watched the interview with Hunter Biden. Hunter Biden, you have any experience with Ukraine? No. Any experience with energy? No. Oil? No. Gas? No. Why do you think they gave you millions of dollars? I don't know. Do you think it maybe had something to do with buying the favor of your father, the vice president, the second most powerful man in the country at the time, in charge of Ukraine? Why would China, Hunter Biden, no experience with China? None. Zero. Zip. No experience in private equity. He flies on Air Force Two with Daddy. And by the way, he's not a kid. He's 49 years old. Fly 10 days later, he gets $1 billion deal with the Bank of China. Well, I didn't take a penny. But his lawyer pointed out, yeah, he has a pretty big equity share. Daily Caller estimates a minimum of $20 million. Why would somebody with no experience, none of you in this room would ever get paid millions of dollars if your name isn't Biden with no experience? That, James, that would be a crime, because that is called buying influence.
So let me make one clear point. I see you Trump people up there. You control the entire apparatus of the United States government. You control the Justice Department. You control the State Department. You control everything. If there was a crime, for God's sakes, indict somebody. Don't talk about it on television. You have all of this power. But if you're down to arguing about the lieutenant governor of Virginia,
accused of rape, James. Accused of rape and violent sexual assault of a woman.
Again, I could go away as Denny Hassard, for God's sakes. That's not the argument. The argument is, if all of these laws are being broken, you're in control. Do something about it. You don't go and tell it. Again, this is a dog baying at the moon. If you're the Justice Department, you have power. You have real power. The Republicans control the Senate. They can subpoena anybody that they want. And they don't. Why are they letting you down? They just want talking points on Fox? Or do they really think this happened? If you think it happened, for God's sakes, do something about it. You have power like you would not believe. And you're letting these people just sit out there, and they're not even getting a defense that's worthy of the passion that they feel for that guy. And that's the problem you have.
I want to know where the whistleblower is. I have a question for James. Right. James Carville. When Hillary Clinton had her emails subpoenaed, and she deleted 33,000 of them, and then they cleaned the hard drive with something none of us had ever, I had never heard of BleachBit. Any of you all hear of BleachBit before Hillary? They cleaned the hard drive, they bust up, and they'd bust up the Blackberries and iPhones with hammers, and they removed the SIM cards. Now, James, are you going to tell this wonderful audience in beautiful Nashville, Tennessee, that Hillary Clinton did not commit a crime there?
Again, the statute of limitation is not run. Get the Justice Department. I've never heard all this. The State Department, after a 2-3 year investigation, said there's nothing to it. But for God's sakes, do something. If that you know that if I knew
Lock
that there
her
was,
up. Do something.
If I knew there was a criminal out there, then you would do something. I wouldn't talk about it. You have power. You're scared to use it.
All right, I think that point's been made. So we have a chance to probably have one or two questions. Sorry, only one or two. So we have one gentleman here who's been close to the front. We'll give you a chance to ask a question. And it needs to be relatively short and end in a question mark. Try one more time? We're not able to. If you
just shout it out.
Just shout it out, and I'll repeat it.
So, Sean, I know you support the troops and everything. I think the troops get a really bad deal. A lot of people lie to them. But in 2009, when you were talking about waterboarding, you said that you don't believe it's torture, and you promised that you would get waterboarded for the troops and do a charity for them, but you never did it. Are you going to get waterboarded for the troops and their families and donate that money to charity?
Okay, so the question's related to the troops and waterboarding.
I love your little talking point. Let me tell you what I did do for the troops. Well, if you'll listen, including Nashville, I partnered with more country music stars. We did more concerts. We raised millions and millions of dollars for scholarship funds for the troops, and I'm proudly donated. I like to keep my donations private. The answer to your question is you can take your Keith Olbermann talking point and run away. But I will tell you, I don't believe waterboarding is torture. And I'll tell you one other thing. There were 3 people that had enhanced interrogations. One of them was Khalid Sheikh Mohammed. The only reason we ever got bin Laden is because Khalid Sheikh Mohammed was waterboarded. And guess what? He gave us the name of the courier, and the courier brought us to bin Laden, and we were able to take out the guy responsible for 9/11. I'll continue to raise money in a multitude of ways for the troops. Okay, thank you.
All right, we have time for one more.
Is the time up already?
Check.
Yeah, it's gone fast.
My question is to Mr. Hannity. The movie producer Michael Moore stated a while ago that only a non-politician could possibly beat President Trump. What do you think that a ticket of Dwayne Johnson and Tom Hanks would do to the Democratic Party?
Listen, I'm going to go back to my 4 points. Are we better off than we were 4 years ago? Overwhelmingly, yes. Is Donald Trump losing any of the people that went out and voted for him in 2016? I don't think he's losing any. Third, with his economic employment record and beating back the caliphate in Syria, ISIS, I believe there will be many more people that will vote for him this time around than last time. All of this noise that you're hearing and other secret people and anonymous books and anonymous whistleblowers and whistleblowers that are hearsay whistleblowers, non-whistleblowers, whistleblowers, apparently that colluded with Adam Schiff's team, is meaningless. All that is noise. What's going to matter is, are we safer? Are we more secure? Did he keep his word? Is America better off? I can't think of one politician in my lifetime that has kept his promises more than Donald J. Trump. That's why I believe he gets reelected.
All right, so I'm going to ask one final question, and just to zoom out of the impeachment stuff out of 2020. Both of you have been some of the most prominent voices in American politics over the last few decades. And one of the things that's happened during that time period is that our politics has become more polarized, our media has become more polarized, even tribal, I would say. So James, I'll just give you this question from both a campaign standpoint as well as from a media standpoint. Where do you see this polarization going? Is it sustainable for the country? What do you think we need to do about it?
Well, I don't know if there's very much that you can do about it, but I do know in 2018, we had a lot of swing voters, and most of them were suburbanites. A lot of women, a lot of college-educated women. A 8-point-plus congressional majority tells me that there is a potentially an emerging majority in the United States. You know, only one political party has ever won the popular vote in 6 out of the last 7 elections since the foundation of political parties. That's the modern Democrats. So, does the Democratic Party have problems? What's going to happen is a presidential thing or whatever. But you know, when you got something this weak and this tepid, then you got to go in and eradicate it. And I think that, I mean, political, I'm talking about politically, you got to go in and take a chance and do something about it. And I think they're going to do that, and they're going to put maximum pressure on these Senate Republicans. I think Mitch McConnell is scared to death. I think they're all scared to death, and they think they're scared to death for good reason, because there's so much more coming. So pay attention. We'll see where it goes.
James is right. There's a lot coming. We got the Horowitz report on FISA abuse coming. My sources tell me it will shock the conscience and soul of a nation. And when the Durham report comes out, that will similarly shock the conscience and soul of a nation about abuse of power and corruption. Look, your question is an important one. At the end of the day, we're all Americans. We love our country. I don't question any Democrats' motives. I don't. I think they're corrupt. I think what they're doing is corrupt. I think their policies are insane. It's like we're a country, though, that has irreconcilable differences. Either you believe in socialism or freedom, capitalism or socialism. Either you believe in energy independence or energy dependence. Either you believe in limited government or you buy into the lie that everything's going to be free. I don't know how you reconcile it. My advice to Republicans, who, by the way, I think are often weak, timid, spineless, visionless, and they can learn a thing or two from Donald Trump, in my view. I'm a registered conservative. But at the end of the day, you have to defeat bad ideas. Modern, extreme, radical socialism is bad and will destroy this country. The only way to solve that problem is to beat them at the ballot box, and I believe that will happen.
Well, so I say this. You got to beat good football teams. LSU 23, Auburn 13. We're ahead. Go Tigers!
Thank you all very much. That was a lot of fun. Really appreciate you guys doing this. Thank you.
God bless you all. Thanks for coming out.
Thanks, James. That was great.
And that concludes our live coverage of this discussion with political commentators James Carville and Sean Hannity. At 8:40 p.m. Eastern, our live coverage of Politicon continues with former Senator Al Franken.